All right, we're going to be getting into some crazy shit today. So I got my science here going for you because we got the RNA that's able to replicate itself. Well, the Abaddon and the Abaddon of the Revelation 9:11, they came and opened the pit and they got you into the pit and you went and ate that forbidden fruit and that little snake that's on that hospital as that warning. Well, it came in and you took that old symbiosis venom and that symbiotic relationship of that alien shrimp radioactive wall Martians that they're showing with the John Kennedy and such for a little headwind. It's kind of lining up as we got the alien Earth showing and these little blood sucking larvae worms that were shown on the news and all these things kind of all intermingling as the 31 Atlas mothership comet is in the space and all these things. Okay, so the radioactive shrimp is also telling you about your microwave. Okay, and the microwave radioactive food that the people are eating, plus the Roundup that people eat that causes leaky gut and gluten so-called intolerance and whatever else is going on. This is an antibiotic, which means it's a living organism. When you eat so much of it and so many times a day and whatever else, it's a compound effect and it will eventually start breeding inside of you. And since you are a living earth organism, these exudates that come off these living organisms that are in your bioflora is what your body absorbs through we've gotten into things before, but this is who you are. So this is where they're creating this culture, this lab thing, and as this petri dish, this petro dish and whatever is being closed up, that's where you're eating petrochemicals in your food. All this stuff is being played out because you're this living earth organism. You can handle so much and whatever, but also people are blowing up and they're reforming that third temple and whatever. And as they redo the third temple, they can bring in the new heaven and earth as the 60% are this, 70% are this, 80% are this, and they've collected this much intelligence through the AI, through the new Christ that's gathering all the consciousness of man, and it brings out, and the internet brings out your inner darkness in a way, or as far as your thoughts, because you used to have to go to the library and all your things you think about or want to know about or want to do, all those things are all gathered up as far as since this time frame of the so-called Patriot Act and bringing this Israel ID and the Israel ID and the Israel lid and the lid on that jar and all those things being put together, and that jars for that Croptober and those things that's laying out upon the earth, and this Croptober is going to bring to this because this tree and this garden and whatever is forming these as this is going on a span of time, connecting the Genesis to the Revelation, to where man is just not completely wiped out and whatever, where it's a progression, where it's this symbiosis, symbiotic relationship with the venom and things, and it's able to replicate itself to where the beginning or the last or first and the first or last, where they did this RNA thing, but we're going to learn and how it replicates itself. So this is where the AI takes these things by 2030 or 2035 or whatever, and then we go into where the body is able to redo itself through stem cells and through the intelligence AI's gathered and the RNA and the DNA test that's been done through the H1N1 and the corona crowning and all those things as we're being birthed into that new time frame. Okay, so while these things that might sound scary and whatever, just know that you're going to be coming back. All right, because you are that parasite. We are born again and again and again, and this light inside of us lives forever. This power inside of us lives forever when this machine gets done working in a way. Okay. and this may be a physical thing, or maybe where we can learn to transfer the light from us and download this to our next self and whatever else kind of thing is going on. The the things that people have been eating, and then the serpent stinging the people from day one, the vitamin K, the K is over, the over is also the 11, and it's part of that Twin Towers coming down. Um, the the foods and drink, the breast milk, all these things that are old school, natural, and whatever is all being taken from man in one way, and it's a test. And now that this test is done, we can show the test to the people, and they can get their scores back in this kind of way as the Scantron and all those things are given back to them on the test, and they're like, oh man, I failed. Error. F this, F this, F that, F this, F this. Okay, so, and it'll all be by their own doing, but it's through their old programming of the old heaven and earth, and they're not understanding and being like the living water. They're being like that frozen water of the ice age that's getting bound, and then if it doesn't get ice and you're not flowing, then it's going to get boiled off, and that boiled off is for the oil and the petrodollar, and those things are gathered up and collected. And this is where we see the New York Stock Exchange opening up in Texas, that Dow, us, and those things are kind of going into this point of light where it may seem good at first, but it's actually just to peter in and peter out, one age to another age, and it's for that barren womb and those things. But the lockdowns with this biogenesis thing going on, the RNA and the aliens and the illegal aliens, the Trojan horse, we could see kind of like a double lockdown situation over time in a way, to where we have the Trojan horse lockdown, or this Batman situation. Lockdown first, and then one feeds into the other. I would see more of the Trojan horse lockdown, because we've already had the Corona one, and then so that would be lockdown one, and then you could have the biogenesis Corona part 2 kind of thing, closer to the election or whatever. But one of these things, or the biogenesis one, to get that pinnacle on one, and then you have a birth of the other for the World War III and the buildup on those things. But either way, so that's where you have the 3.5 years that's opening up, that dawn's opening up on a second coming, and then you have that 3.5 years that follows after that, giving you your 7 and 8 years that's coming now, as the dawn has gone up. Now he's going down, and then he's going to go up again. But so as he goes down, this is where he goes kind of out of the scene, and where they're talking about his hands swelling up, and then did he die or not die? And he's in that rose garden. Since he's in the rose garden, we've been tracking that resurrection and that the cross and the eclipse and the births, all those things. So this is where we might see the 40 days, and the 40 days ties into your flood and those final waters and those types of things. So the 40 days or 40 nights, we're kind of in that nighttime frame as far as the lights we've been tracking with the Barack Obama and the high tree sun, and then you got the Elon Musk, who's the white black guy from the South Africa, and then he looks Asian Russia mix or whatever, so uptight, all those things before, but this is where we see these spies on spies and whatever else kind of thing. So this Russia collusion and these things laid upon America, the food, the drink, these things that go into the body, the pharmaceuticals coming from China and whatever else, right? People don't necessarily know what's in those pills that they're taking. They don't necessarily know what's in those foods they're eating and whatever. They don't know what all those chemicals and whatever those things do long term. What does that retard chemical do that's in your bread that you're eating, or that flame retardant that you're sleeping on or putting on your kids' clothes and all those other things, okay? We got to take a conscious effort not to use those types of products, because we're in that test stage now and we're coming out of it, and we're going to learn what everybody's been doing and what it's caused upon this nation, okay? This is where you're eating and drinking formaldehyde and different products, and they're putting it in your cigarettes in microdoses and whatever. It's like you got to grow your own tobacco, or you got to at least search down the organic slow-dried tobacco, roll your own cigarettes, and those types of things. It's not that cigarette smoking is bad, it's the type of cigarettes they're giving you or whatever, okay? And there's a time and place for all these things, and there's medicinal effects of tobacco, there's medicinal effects of alcohol, and we're just being taught how to use these things improperly. And also there's spiritual components and downloadable components on these things that we can receive as far as knowledge, and that's not being taught to us. So this is where you are what you eat, and it's being told you right there. And we're in that food pyramid where we're at the top. That sugar and that sugar cane, that Coca-Cola, the Nicolas Maduro, all those things are coming in into a nice little sweet tea, and that sweet tea is served in the Gulf of America area in the South and all those other things, okay? And that tea leaves when the put-in and the greens and all those things start showing. So the green is tied to your sick, and the either way, y'all, it all connects, and it's all right there in front of you. Okay.